Biden cree que su homólogo ruso Vladimir Putin es un asesino. El presidente estadounidense ha amenazado además con hacerle pagar por la injerencia rusa en las elecciones del año pasado en Estados Unidos. En una entrevista en la cadena ABC le preguntaron por esas consecuencias que dice pronto se verán después de que un informe de la inteligencia de Estados Unidos concluyera que el presidente ruso estaba probablemente detrás de los intentos de influir en favor de Donald Trump. Rusia ha respondido. El presidente de la Cámara Baja dice que los comentarios de Biden son un ataque contra Rusia. Se trata de una histeria debida a la impotencia, dice, y con sus declaraciones Biden insultó a los ciudadanos de nuestro país. Para el portavoz de Putin, las acusaciones son infundadas. No estamos de acuerdo con las conclusiones de este informe sobre nuestro país. Rusia no interfirió en las anteriores elecciones de 2016 ni en las de 2020. Este informe es erróneo, no tiene absolutamente ningún fundamento ni prueba, dice Dmitry Peskov. El informe publicado el martes dice que Putin autorizó operaciones de influencia destinadas a denigrar a Biden, impulsar a Trump, socavar la confianza en las elecciones y exacerbar las divisiones sociales en el país. El documento señaló también que ningún gobierno extranjero comprometió los resultados finales.
There are two issues. One, informing the American public, the Security Council, and the world about the evidence to allow us to make the conclusion that Saddam Hussein remains a danger because he is not cooperating, he is still harboring, and he is still seeking the accumulation of weapons of mass destruction. That case, I believe, has been made. And I hope now that the American people will have this regurgitated in a number of venues and fora over the next weeks, that they will be as convinced as I am.
We are not seeking direct confrontation with Russia, though I've been clear that if Russia targets Americans in Ukraine, we will respond forcefully. And if Russia attacks the United States or our allies through asymmetric means, like disruptive cyber attacks against our companies or critical infrastructure, we are prepared to respond. But we're moving in lockstep with our NATO allies and partners to deepen our collective defense against threats in cyberspace. While I will not send American servicemen to fight in Ukraine, we have supplied the Ukrainian military with equipment to help them defend themselves. We provided training and advice and intelligence for the same purpose. And make no mistake, the United States will defend every inch of NATO territory with the full force of American power. An attack against one NATO country is an attack against all of us. And the United States' commitment to Article 5 is sacrosanct. Already, in response to Russia's buildup of troops, I've sent additional U.S. forces to bolster NATO's eastern flank. Several of our allies have also announced they'll add forces and capabilities to ensure deterrence and defense along NATO's eastern flank. We will also continue to conduct military exercises with our allies and partners to enhance defensive readiness. And if Russia invades, we'll take further steps to reinforce our presence in NATO, reassure us for our allies, and deter further aggression. To be clear, if Russia decides to invade, that would also have consequences here at home. But the American people understand that defending democracy and liberty is never without cost. This is a cause that unites Republicans and Democrats. And I want to thank the leaders and members of Congress of both parties who've forcefully spoken out in defense of our most basic, most bipartisan, most American principles.
As we have said all along, there is a playbook of Russian aggression. And this playbook is too familiar to us all. Russia will plead ignorance and innocence. It will create false pretext for invasion, and it will amass troops and firepower in plain sight. We now receive reports of what appears to be provocations, and we see Russia spreading disinformation, lies, and propaganda. Their actions simply do not match their words. And let me be clear, I can say with absolute certainty, if Russia further invades Ukraine, the United States, together with our allies and partners, will impose significant and unprecedented economic costs.
I want everyone in Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia to know, and I want President Putin and the Kremlin to know, that the United States of America stands with our allies. But conflict is not inevitable. Mr. Putin can choose a different path. The United States, in lockstep with our allies and partners, have offered him an opportunity to pursue a diplomatic solution. We hope that he takes it. We hope that he steps back from the brink of conflict. And we hope that he de-escalates.
And we have to show that we're ready in case Russia builds on its supposed successes. And we're ready to defend Baltic states and Poland and other countries in the region.
Thank you, dear Secretary. Ačiū. Spaudos konferencija baigėme.
If Ukraine is invaded, the shock will echo around the world. And those echoes will be heard in East Asia, they will be heard in Taiwan. When I spoke to the Prime Ministers of Japan and Australia this week, they left me in no doubt that the economic and political shocks will be felt on the far side of the world. So let me be clear about the risk. The risk now is that people would draw the conclusion that aggression pays and that might is right. So we should not underestimate the gravity of this moment.
This is what the Kremlin's policies mean in practice. To instill fear and call it security demands, to deny 44 million Ukrainians from deciding freely about their own future, to deny a free country's right to independence and self-determination. And the consequences of this approach matter well beyond Ukraine. The Kremlin is not only trying to undermine the entire European security architecture, the Helsinki principles that have made all European countries safer, including Russia. It is also violating the UN Charter, which states that countries, and I cite, shall refrain from the threat and use of force.
This is probably the most dangerous moment, I would say, in the course of the next few days, in what is the biggest security crisis that Europe has faced for decades.
The Kremlin's dangerous thinking,
we've got
which
to get
comes
it right.
straight out
and I
of
think that
a
the
dark
combination
past,
of
may
sanctions
cost Russia
and
a prosperous future.
military resolve plus diplomacy.
I'd like to thank Poland for regularly hosting more than 4,000 enduring rotational U.S. military personnel, which is the fourth largest concentration of U.S. forces in Europe. And of course, in light of Russian force buildup near Ukraine, we appreciate Poland for hosting an additional 4,700 U.S. soldiers who are prepared to respond to a range of contingency. And they will work closely with our State Department and with Polish authorities should there be any need to help American citizens leave Ukraine. Under the 2020 Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement signed by our two countries, Poland strongly contributes to these deployments by providing facilities and logistical resources which we truly appreciate.
But let me be clear. I am here today not to start a war, but to prevent one. The information I presented here is validated by what we've seen unfolding in plain sight before our eyes for months. And remember that while Russia has repeatedly derided our warnings and alarms as melodrama and nonsense, they have been steadily amassing more than 150,000 troops on Ukraine's borders.
So you said actions such as these suggest otherwise, meaning they suggest they're not interested in talks and they're going to go ahead with some kind of what action are you talking about?
One, the actions I've just pointed to. The fact that Russia continues to engage in disinformation campaigns.
You've made an allegation that they might do that. Have they actually done it?
What we know, Matt, is what I've just said, that they have engaged in this activity, in this planning activity. But let me because obviously this is not the first time we've made these reports public. You'll remember that just a few weeks ago.
I'm sorry, made what report public?
If you'll let me finish, I will tell you what report we made public. We told you a few weeks ago that we have information indicating Russia also has already prepositioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in eastern Ukraine. So that, Matt, to your question, is an action that Russia has already taken.
It's an action that you say that they have taken, but you have shown no evidence to confirm that. And I'm going to get to the next question here, which is, what is the evidence that they play? I mean, this is like crisis actors, really? This is like Alex Jones territory you're getting into now. What evidence do you have to support the idea that there is some propaganda film in the making?
Matt, this is derived from information known to the U.S. government, intelligence information that we have declassified. I think you know.
Okay, well, where is it? Where is this information?
It is intelligence information that we have declassified.
Well, where is it? Where is the declassified information?
I just delivered it.
No, you made a series of allegations and statements.
Would you like us to print out the topper? Because you will see a transcript of this briefing that you can print out for yourself.
That's not evidence, Ned. That's you saying it. That's not evidence. I'm sorry.
What would you like, Matt?
I would like to see some proof that you can show that
Matt, you have been
that shows that the Russians are doing this. Ned, I've been doing this for a long time.
I know, that was my point. You have been doing this for quite a while. You know that when we declassify intelligence information, we do so in a means. We do so with an eye to protecting sources and methods.
Is not going to fall. I remember a lot of things. So where is the declassified information other than you coming out here and saying?
Matt, I'm sorry you don't like the format, but we have declassified.
It's not the format; it's the content.
I'm sorry you don't like the content. I'm sorry you are doubting the information that is in the possession of the U.S. government.
No,
what I'm telling you is that this is information that's available to us. We are making it available to you in order for a couple reasons. One is to attempt to deter the Russians from going ahead with this activity. Two, in the event we're not able to do that, in the event the Russians do go ahead with this, to make it clear as day, to lay bare the fact that this has always been an attempt on the part of the Russian Federation to fabricate a pretext.
Yeah, but you don't have any evidence to back it up other than what you're saying. It's like you're saying, we think we have information the Russians may do this, but you won't tell us what the information is.
And then when you're asked... That is the idea behind deterrence, Matt. That is the idea behind deterrence. It is our hope that the Russians don't go forward with this.
What the information is, you say, I just gave it to you. But that's not what...
You seem not to understand. You seem not to understand the idea of deterrence. We are trying to deter the Russians from moving forward with this type of activity. That is why we're making it public today. If the Russians don't go forward with this, that is not ipso facto an indication that they never had plans to do so.
But then it's unprovable. I mean, my God. What is the evidence that you have that suggests that the Russians are even planning this?
Matt,
I'm not saying that they're not, but you just come out and say this and expect us just to believe it without you showing a shred of evidence that it's actually true. Other than when I ask, or when anyone else asks, what's the information? You said, well, I just gave it to you, which was just you making a statement.
Matt, you said yourself, you've been in this business for quite a long time. You know that when we make information, intelligence information public, we do so in a way that protects sensitive sources and methods. You also know that we declassify information only when we're confident in that information. If you doubt the credibility of the U.S. government, of the